It started with a message you never want to read. Her battery read 4%. She said she'd been thrown to the ground, hair yanked, strangled, and if she didn't make it, you know who did this. That single text set off a chain of calls that would pull neighbors out of bed and push officers toward a single address on County Street. Her name was Kylie Montero. She was 18, fresh off graduation, and she was about 11 weeks pregnant. By the time the sun went down again, the question wouldn't be where she was. It would be how long she'd been in danger before anyone realized it. But the next morning took a left turn no one expected. Welcome back to the Criminal Minds. We want to use this opportunity to thank you all that watch our videos and those that support us. We appreciate you all. And also, if you haven't subscribed to our channel, please do, so that we can be able to reach more people, and it will be a great support to us. On August 7th, it wasn't a family member who called first. It was Gregory Groom, the boyfriend. He told police Kylie was missing. At first, people wanted to believe she'd gone off to cool down, except Kylie wasn't the vanish type. She posted a lot. Friends watched for an update that never came. Her last post was the night before. I don't care what people think about me. After that, nothing. If you run a social unit in a detective squad, that flat line is your alarm. People don't go from daily posts to radio silence without a reason. So the search began, and it wasn't small. Police cast a wide net across Bristol County. They pulled in drones, helicopters, cadaver dogs, dive teams for the ponds and creeks. They walked lines through brush and cut across acreage the way search teams do when time is an enemy. Family and friends turned feeds into flyers. They posted cap and gown photos, because people pay attention when they see a face that feels like graduation day. If you've ever waited by the phone for news you don't want, you know the ache that lived in that house. And then the focus snapped back to one place. Investigators returned to Groom's property with a search warrant. Hours later, a backhoe rolled in. Crews started digging. By late day, officials announced that human remains consistent with Kylie's had been found on the land. The police chief came to a microphone and said the thing no family ever wants to hear.
18-year-old Kylie Montero was reported missing by the defendant Gregory Groom on Thursday, August 7th of this year. The two had been in a dating relationship. She was last reported seen at 107 County Street in Rehoboth, which is the residence of Gregory Groom. It is also learned that Kylie Montero was approximately 11 weeks pregnant. Extensive searches were conducted by various units of the Massachusetts State Police. Based on information obtained during the investigation into Kylie Montero's disappearance, police obtained a search warrant for the property at 107 County Street in Rehoboth that was executed starting this afternoon. As a result of the search of the property, human remains consistent with those of Kylie Montero have been recovered. We await confirmation from the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner. The defendant was charged earlier today with assault and battery on a pregnant person, intimidation of a witness, and domestic assault and battery for an alleged incident that occurred on August.
In court, prosecutors filed a stack of charges: murder, assault and battery on a pregnant victim, aggravated intimidation of a witness, a court official, and on a family member. The public defender entered a not guilty plea. Prosecutors asked that he be held without bail, but the words inside that courtroom were only part of the story.
Sir, on docket 251816, on or about the date of August 6, 2025, in the town of Rehoboth, been charged with murder, assault and battery on a pregnant victim, aggravated.
This incident stems from the recovery of a body last evening. The incident started on August 8th when this defendant, Gregory Groom, contacted the Rehoboth Police Department to indicate that his ex-girlfriend, identified as 18-year-old Kylie Montero, was missing. Mr. Groom reported that Miss Montero was at his house, that she was looking for a place to stay. They got into an argument, and that she ultimately left his residence walking down the driveway, and she hadn't been seen or heard from since. Miss Montero was known to be very active on social media, and he hadn't heard from her, neither had her friends or family, on any social media in the following days. Mr. Groom reported that Miss Montero was approximately 11 weeks pregnant, and she told him that he was the father of the baby. That on August 6th, she had left a residential program and took a rideshare to his house. She was looking to stay with him, and an argument ensued about whether or not he would allow her to stay on his property. When the police began to question him and other family members, they learned from Miss Montero's sister that on August 6th, when she had arrived at his house, that there was an altercation between Mr. Groom and Miss Montero. Miss Montero texted a sister that he threw me on the ground and pulled my hair and strangled me. My phone is at 4%, and if I die, it was Greg. Family members then tried to communicate with Miss Montero and get her to a place of safety, and she didn't respond right away. Ultimately, there was a response from her device that indicated she was attempting to continue to stay at Miss.
After Groom was brought in for questioning, something happened and the investigation took a dark turn.
In that interview, he admitted that on August 6th, he had gotten into an altercation with Miss Montero where he pushed her, she fell backwards, and she hit her head. When she attempted to contact an individual, Mr. Groom admitted that he knocked her cell phone out of her hands, at which time he was going to be charged with the 3 offenses for assault and battery on domestic assault and battery on a pregnant person, and for intimidation of a witness. When investigators continued to press Mr. Groom on the whereabouts of Miss Montero, they informed him that they had applied for and were granted a search warrant for an extensive search of 107 County Street. That included not only cadaver dogs, but excavators, chemists from the Massachusetts State Police Crime Lab, and other investigators, and they informed Mr. Groom that they were prepared to search the property and dig if necessary. Mr. Groom then paused. He was given an opportunity to tell the police where Miss Montero's body was located, either by being taken to his property and pointing it out, or drawing a map, or telling the officers where her body was located, as they believed Miss Montero was dead. Mr. Groom ultimately drew a rudimentary map indicating that he got into an argument behind a shed on the property where he was known to stay and where Miss Montero stayed. That during that altercation, Mr. Groom admitted that he stabbed Miss Montero twice in the neck and once in the chest. The stab wound to the chest actually broke the blade of the knife off. He used a kitchen knife to commit the stabbing, and based on that stabbing, Miss Montero was deceased. Mr. Groom indicated to police that he then spent several hours digging a hole in the woods, approximately 20 yards from where he killed Miss Montero, and through the night after he dug, when the sun came up, he then pushed her body into the hole and covered it up. He drew on the map the approximate location of Miss Montero's remains. Officers who were conducting the search warrant then went to the shed. They noticed there was a large pile of brush right next to the shed. That was what Mr. Groom used to cover up the site of the murder, to cover up blood that was ultimately recovered, and physical evidence was recovered from the scene where the...
According to the account, detectives built a timeline from social media gaps, phone activity, interviews, and the scene itself. The retired commander they brought on spoke bluntly. The person who reports someone missing is often the one who knows why they're missing. The investigators described alleged statements by Groom and even a hand-drawn map that led them toward the body, details they would still need to corroborate with forensics to hold in court. If you can get a suspect to offer details you don't already have, you're not feeding a story, you're pulling one out. And when those details lock to physical evidence, the case gets strong fast. Still, charging isn't the same as convicting. Trials are chess, not checkers. In cases like this, when evidence trends one way, defense teams look for the only door still open: state of mind. You heard the phrase, sudden and intense passion. That's the push to knock a murder count down, to argue an eruption instead of a plan. The commander said himself, if you can't beat the evidence, you try to change what it says about intent. Maybe the suspect lost it. Maybe the acts were reckless rather than deliberate. That's not an easy sell against a tight timeline. But if even one juror hesitates on premeditation, the charge can fall, which is why the red flags before the day matter as much as what happened on it. Kylie had message fear. Family posts flagged domestic issues. Friends knew about the pregnancy and the stress around it. She'd been living at a shelter for pregnant women, That's not a detail to scroll past. And then there's a social silence. When a daily poster goes dark right after a scare, it should ring like a fire alarm. The commander was clear. In modern cases, social media analysis isn't fluff. It's an investigative tool. The pattern of a person's life can prove when that life changed. But even with patterns, the courtroom still wants one thing, and that's justice. The point of telling a story like this isn't to make a monster famous. It's to remind people that small warnings, a post, a bruise, a text are chances to act while it still matters. If you see a friend go silent after saying they're scared, don't wait for proof. Reach out, show up, call someone who can help. That's the only part of this we get to control. When someone sends a message like Kylie's, what should the very next step be in your life right now? Call? Drive over? Loop in a trusted adult? Drop your honest answer below. I'll be in the comments. Also show your support by subscribing to our channel.